Listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. How we doing? How you doing? WNBA fans speak. Comments, reaction. Caitlin Clark, unmeasurable greatness. That's right, WNBA fans speak. We always told you we'll take your rebuttal. We believe that the fans are always correct. We understand that you study the game just as much as I study the game, and I've listened to some of the comments, so let's get into it. You'll start out Paul Hester. Clearly, Mike is a Clark fan maniac. Clark hasn't won any championships. Best shot maker in the WNBA history is A'ja Wilson. Just last season became first WNBA player to score over 1,000 points. This says a little bit. Great White Hope glazing includes black men who won't acknowledge the truth, I believe. Okay, let's talk about that, Paul. Let's get into it. You're talking, he's saying Mike is a Caitlin Clark maniac fan. I like Caitlin Clark. Folks, what I love is point guards. I follow point guards across the globe. It doesn't matter to me, and a lot of times I'm following the players that I've either trained or they're right there, right? So when people say Mike's a Caitlin Clark fan, I'm a point guard fan. I look for point guards who are the best in the league, who can get the job done, who can do what we need to do. So I'm not really overbearing on being a Caitlin Clark fan. I really like Caitlin Clark a lot, but I have to put her and be objective and say, what is her capabilities? Now, let's talk about A'ja Wilson being the best shot maker. A'ja Wilson's not a shot maker. A shot maker, let's define what a shot maker is. A shot maker is somebody who can get up and down the floor full speed, who, what, when, where, and why. You can get up down the court full speed. You can stop and pop on a dime, right? So Caitlin can go to the left, right, doesn't matter, and all of a sudden she's raising up, shooting the ball, and she's usually being guarded, contested, and she makes the shot. And these are not 15-foot shots, right? I get A'ja Wilson. A'ja Wilson doesn't have 33 feet range. She doesn't have the range to stretch out 33 feet. So you're talking about two different comparables. One's playing from the perimeter. One shoots some threes, but A'ja Wilson can't play on the move. If I put A'ja Wilson on the wing, advance her the ball, can she dribble penetration up, stop and pop? That's going to be difficult. That's what Caitlin does. Paul, respectful, and great question, great response. Okay, let's go to Cowboy. Cowboy, I get Dorothy from Wizard of Oz vibes from Caitlin. Maybe that's because she's so popular. Yeah, 100%. Cowboy 717, you're 100% right. I mean, you're going to get a vibe out of Caitlin. Caitlin, guys, let's be understandable. It's no different if you're in high school, right? And then somebody transfers into school, and there's a new prom queen that's coming in, or there's a new beauty queen. It doesn't matter in that response. What Caitlin Clark has been able to do is bring a different vibe, a different energy. And when you bring someone in that brings a different vibe and a different energy, you got to put it in perspective now. If this player is bringing people into the arena, you can't fault that and you can't discount the player. That's just the way it is. And if that player is bringing their fans, that's why I told you this is always like the movie Jackie Robinson 42. I'm telling you, it's like that. Now, not in the context of racism and going through that, but there was a part in that meeting where the owner, Branch Rickey, was like, hey, you need to tell these guys they got a petition going, and that's what the WNBA says. They got a petition going where you don't want Caitlin around. Well, let's get to that petition. And Branch Rickey told the manager of the Dodgers, go on down there and straighten that out. You know what he did? He took some pots and pans, he started banging them together and said, guys, look, long story short, he said, you better get used to it because there's more coming. This next crop of players who are turning out of the WNBA draft now, when they get here, folks, hang on tight, because I'm telling you, there's more coming that you won't believe that are going to shine and do just as well as Caitlin. So that's a good thing. Trash Horse, have you lost your mind? Caitlin Clark smokes Juju Watson in every aspect. Well, probably too until we see it. I like Juju Watkins, right? So here's the thing. People will tell me, Mike, you love Caitlin Clark, right? Then I get to calling Juju Watkins the best player in the world. Then people tell me, Mike, you're nuts, right? And you know what? Half the time you're probably right until it actually happens, right? But I don't do it that way. I try to give you the information in advance, right? So let's talk about be accountable. Who, what, when, where, and why am I saying what I'm saying? So this is really what it comes. I mean, at the end of the day, Caitlin, Juju, we won't know till Team USA, right? That's 2028, so let's keep it going. Let's see, Mike, keep it up. Just subscribe. We thank you, and I do this for the fans. This is not for me. I want to give you the most entertainment I can. And so I just take a step back, take a look at what work I was producing, and then I said to myself, how about you just stick to the who, what, when, where, and why you're saying what you're saying, and maybe it may come across a little bit easier. So I got to go and do each player the same. I got to do each team the same. I may speak about Chicago and Indiana because those two teams are going to play. They're going to open up opening night in the WNBA, but here's a little secret for you that I see, right? These two teams don't like each other now. It's going to get worse. So let me tell you why it's going to get worse, right? Here's what you're working with. You're going to play 5 times this year. You get in a 7-game series, folks. That's 12 times these two teams are going to play. If they go 7 games, right? That's a lot, man. Pretty soon you can't stand each other after that. So hang on to your hip. Let's see. What? CC been all over the place? Yeah, CC's been everywhere. There's no doubt about it. Okay, what is this weirdo talking about? What is it? Itoro. What is this weirdo talking about? Clark could not play men's college basketball, better yet the NBA. She will still get the ball stolen from her at least 9 times a game, the shot blocked 12 times a game, and average 10 turnovers. Folks, let's go who, what, when, where, and why, right? Let's bring it into my world. What do you think these women are playing against now? You think they're playing against college men? Do you think they're playing against high school players? No, they're going out getting a run with NBA players, right? So when you got Bam and you got Asia Wilson, they have a relationship, whatever. Basically, she's going to get some run with some NBA players, right? And at the end of the day, when you run with NBA players and you look at this, nobody's going to convince me that Caitlin Clark cannot check in, okay, an NBA game, take the ball up court, put all the pressure on you want, right? And she's still going to eventually get in there and she's going to score, right? It's not a question of whether you can play in the NBA. Let's get it right. It's a question of whether you can compete in the NBA. Play in the NBA, all the WNBA players can play in the NBA. If you want to check them in a game and just let them shoot and run up and down like NBA players, you don't really have to play any defense right now in the NBA, so why wouldn't they fit in, right? I mean, I'm speaking logically here because this is what happens. You got 2 seasons in the NBA. Right now, they're just cruising, right? They're going to play a little bit to shift to see who's going to get in, what position they're going to get, but most of the season, they're cruising up and down. Now, you want to see the NBA turn up? You want to see real basketball? Wait till the playoffs get here. You'll see balls start flying in the 5th row, right? When those balls start flying in the 5th row of an NBA game, yeah, that would be tough for the WNBA players to play. But Jewel Lloyd can get in there and knock down 20. I mean, it doesn't take much. I mean, you got to look at who plays what, when, and where, and what role will they play, and how will they adjust the defense for it, right? So, I mean, I look at it differently, but everybody's got a right to say what they want. We're open to rebuttal. Thomas Christ, totally agree. I just going to post soccer basketball connection. She turns basketball into a beautiful game. I mean, that's what Caitlin does, guys. Here's what I want everybody to understand something about Caitlin Clark that a lot of people don't know, right? Is you have fans who enjoy watching Caitlin Clark come out and play. I want you to think about that. If you got fans that enjoy watching you come out and play, why would you change that? Why would you get upset at that? There are people who enjoy watching Caitlin play. If you're a WNBA player and you have fans who enjoy watching you play, that's how it works. You can't change that or mix it up. You got to go with what you got. So, I mean, it really makes sense. A lot of people like Caitlin. Philip, great analysis. Caitlin is more exciting dribbling the ball up and covering any other player. She's faster with the ball than their defenders are without the ball. What she will do next, shoot logo 3, move from the arc, make another 3, make an incredible assist to cutting teammates, make a behind-the-back pass, and step 3. Yeah, Caitlin's unmeasurable. Nobody could sit here and literally tell you what Caitlin's going to do because you don't know how a player reacts, right? Every player reacts differently. Some players, you put pressure on them, they fold and they fall back. Some players, you put pressure on them, they stand their ground. Then there's other who, what, when, where, and why, right? You put pressure on them, they're going to step back, hold their ground, and move forward, right? That's Caitlin Clark. Caitlin's going to step back. She analyzed it. You guys said they were grown women. Well, I didn't believe that because now, I mean, what is Caitlin, a child? No, guys, she's not, right? And here's the deal. If you were able to stop Caitlin, right, here's just my opinion. If you were able to stop Caitlin, then you would have. If you don't, then she's doing what she's supposed to do because every player that comes in, and now here's where I get into defense. not really defense of the WNBA, but understand what their thought process is. Nobody cares what anybody did in college when you make pros, right? You make it to the NFL, nobody cares that you played for Georgia. You make it to the NBA, who cares if you played for Duke? You're in the NBA now, you're in the league, right? So all these women, what they're basically saying, we don't care what Caitlin did in college. Let's see what she does here. Well, she's not ready because they weren't ready. But Caitlin came out more ready than any other WNBA player, probably in the top 10, right? Because she has to be, because she came out ready to roll, right? Right out of college. And here's what she did. She played all the games. Every single game, 38 minutes a game. I mean, come on, guys. Let's be honest with each other here, right? Because we can't do it. CC is $1 billion to the industry. Yeah, 100%. I mean, the money that players make at the end of the day, you know what? You got players who are going to make money, right? So it doesn't really matter. Angel Reese is going to make money, right? There's nobody. DJ Carrington's going to make money. And I already told you guys, here's how it works, right? Social justice. The more people talk about how bad Angel Reese is and she's not good, or how bad Asia Wilson is, she's not good, you're just making them more money. Because every time you talk bad, people, the reaction is go buy the jersey. Every time you tell them he can't play, what is their reaction? Go buy the jersey. Every time something happens, what does Nike do? They'll give you social injustice t-shirts. They'll be on the market tomorrow, right? You got to understand something about what's going on. You think you're criticizing the player, you're just making them more money in their industry, and they believe that, and they're not going to hold back, right? Proof positive. We're going to go to Boo Sudan. Proof positive, Caitlin's game popularity. She generated over 56,000 attendance for exhibition. Girls college basketball played on a basketball court constructed in the middle of a college football stadium. Yes, they came to watch 22 in her Magic. Who else could pull that stuff off? Paige couldn't, and neither can the WNBA players. Well, Boo Sheldon's right. I mean, facts are facts. We can't sit there. Folks, who, what, when, where, and why. Put a game out there in a football stadium. Caitlin Clark draws 56,000 people. You put another game out there with WNBA players. Do they draw 56,000? If you don't, you can't argue it, right? You can't argue that fact. That's facts, right? Caitlin's selling out games. You can't argue it, right? Who, what, when, where, and why. Okay? Numbers don't lie, all right? That's why they got the GAP, generally accepted accounting principles, right? You put it together. You can't move the numbers. Caitlin moves numbers. That's the way it is. Other players in the WNBA move numbers as well. They just don't move as much. That's the difference there. All right, let's keep it going. Patrick says fire. Keep it going, no doubt. Let's go Putts and Jam. Wow, Mike, this is the first time I've seen your podcast. Love it. Subscribe, like, and comment. Say, hey, love to have you. Man, I do this for the fans, and the fans got a right to give a rebuttal. Fans got a right to say, hey, Mike, you're wrong. You know what? I can be. There's no doubt about it. But most of the time, I give it to you so far in advance that everything I'm telling you, got to let it saturate for a minute, and then you catch up, and then it's going to hit the national news, right? Why do I get the ability to do that? Because I come from the NFL. You got to do the R&D. You got to research these stories. You can't just stand here and say this is what's going to happen, right? So it's got to all make sense, and that's what this thing is all about. All right, so we got, Paul says here, it came back. I'm a 71-year-old female. Well, hello, Putts and Jam. Thank you for tuning in, Putts and Jam. All right, so I have watched very little basketball since I graduated from high school and quit playing. I was channel surfing. I saw women's college basketball. It was Caitlin. I was hooked and been a fan ever since. There it is, folks, right? At the end of the day, you have to get the fans that you have, right? And this game now has changed, right? If you go back 20 years ago in the WNBA, people would not see a player. They would just buy a ticket, and then they'd be the first time they're going to see the player. Social media has changed that environment where now you see highlights and you see players' lifestyle, what they do. So it's going to be more attractive than it was 20 years ago. And that's what Caitlin brings. Caitlin's bringing a fan base. Paige Buchers is going to bring a fan base. Angel Reese brings a fan base. The current WNBA players didn't have to do that. Now it's changed. And if they've got 10,000 or 15,000 people going to cheer with them, you can't fault them for that, right? You got to let them, allow them to be who they are. And they came up in a technology generation. And that's why they can reach more people than the players who are currently in the WNBA, because they never had to do an NIL, right? NILs have changed the game. I'll talk about that in a little bit, right? All right, let's go to Abe Scotland. What's going on, Abe Scotland? I love Abe Scotland. Let me tell you why, because he's going to give me the thorough, methodical answer. And this one here, I can always guarantee it. And he's going to make me think a little bit. Let's see what Abe's talking about. Agree with you in the main, and particularly for the 2026 NBA, we'll have to agree on a more balanced split of revenue so the players can get a bigger share of bigger pie, which has grown organically largely due to one player and one franchise and is not due to the $75 million spent on separate marketing 2021, right? So, I mean, you got a point there, but here's the deal. Here's the deal. I'm going to break this down. The WNBA CBA, guys. Let me tell you how this went. The owners put together a league, right? And it was called the WNBA. David Stern is how it all came together. Now, here's the deal. The NBA owners wanted to fold the league. The WNBA players from then till now, they gave a lot of sweat equity, right? They didn't make any money. They couldn't negotiate with the NBA, right? Because it was a take it or leave it deal. Either you take this deal or you fold the league. That's what I'm telling you. The WNBA could fold the league, and I'll tell you why. Because Unrivaled can get in this thing, and then you can get into NCAA professional women's basketball, right? You got to look at this thing, how the landscape is going. Now, WNBA is trying to fight, but here was the deal with the league. This is not the common league. It's not like Major League Baseball. It's not like the other leagues, okay? The NBA, where the owners are 100% owners and the players are 100% players, right? So because the NBA owners wanted to fold this league and they wanted to be done with it, the players said, no, we'll give you the sweat equity, we'll play for less, we'll keep playing. And then they said, okay, fine, we'll do that. So as the league kept going, and this one kind of speed up till today, so it's not a normal league, but then here comes Kathy Engelbert, right? And you got a league that the NBA only owned 42% of the league, right? They owned 42% of the league. Here's where it gets a little tricky for you, and hang tight with me on this because most people won't talk about it, right? So you got the WNBA. If they own 42, that tells you right there that somebody else owns the other 52%, right? So what happens? Kathy Engelbert goes to the WNBA, who owns more percentage of the league than the NBA, right? So guess what they do? They come out and say, well, we're going to go ahead and get $75 million capital raise, and we're going to give you 15% or 16% of equity for that $75 million. Now, let's take a step back, right? Because we got to go who, what, when, where, and why. Now, here's how it all shook out. So now I'm going into a CBA. The WNBA, as Abe said, no, they didn't help. Caitlin did all of this. I'm saying, well, if Caitlin did all of this, where's the $75 million that the WNBA players gave up 16% for? Where did that money go, Abe? That would be my question, because your point is valid, but where is the 16%? Because if I'm correctly, if they did this raise, then basically they gave up a percentage of equity to market the WNBA, to build up the WNBA, to be diluted or being in a CBA agreement. Who markets a league, the players for the league, and then gets in a negotiation of a CBA? That's why this doesn't make sense, and it's chump change, folks. It's chump change. This one here is really bad because the league, here's the thing, okay? And everybody says the league's not making any money, right? Money Mike's going to give it to you straight. Hang tight, Abe, because I've got you. I get what you're saying. Let me read Abe's second part, too. It's not discrimination if one side doesn't know how to negotiate for the best deal. This is Abe. I mean, he's pointing it out, but that's not a good deal. They got strong-armed into that deal, right? That was a deal under duress. Either you take the deal or we fold the league. So you just can't go that route, right? Because Money Mike wants to talk about who, what, when, where, and why, and what happened, right? So now you move, as Abe is saying, the NBA will agree to a more balanced split of revenue so the players get a bigger share of a much bigger pie, which has grown organically, largely due to one player. I get you on that, right? Okay, so it's not discrimination, best deal. Imagine selling 16% ownership for $75 million in 2021. It was the worst sports deal ever. That's the hang-up. Abe's nailing it down. That's the hang-up. I don't understand why the WNBA gave up 16% of their money, right? Because I'm going to answer that for you right here. which has grown organically largely due to one player, as he always said, right? Or did the WNBA never really believe they could grow the game above the league average attendance of 8,000? The deal for outside investors, right? In my opinion, it was my family that put the toughness, right? He's talking about CC, but let's go back to the question. I got a couple more from you, Abe, and I'm probably going to come back and do this one again, right? I'm gonna wrap here because I want to come back and address some more. So you'll get another version of this. But folks, let me tell you what happened here. All right, you took the 16%, which is the equity from the WNBA. They own the league, right? You trade that for $75 million. Now you go into a CBA. So let me go blow up the league and market the league. So now it doesn't matter that Caitlin came. That doesn't matter because they're marketing Caitlin too. But now I gave you equity for $75 million so that you could market the league. You're marketing Caitlin. Caitlin comes in, and Caitlin has brought a lot, right? Now, here's the problem. Everybody wants to talk about the WNBA is not making any money. The WNBA is losing $50 million. I'm going to stop right here, but this is my question I got for everybody because when I come back, I want you to answer this question for me. Please tell me, why would somebody go into a league and pay $50 million as the Buccaneers played if the league is not going to make any money? Why would Toronto pay $125 million to come into a league that you can't make any money? Why is Kansas City Chiefs Patrick Mahomes saying I've got a stadium and $250 million, right? Why is Cleveland prepared to pay $250 million acquisition fee? Now, here's what happens. They got Shark Tanked, right? You check it out. They got Shark Tanked. And when I say Shark Tank, every time you get an expansion team, it dilutes the WNBA player share. Every time they sign on another team, it's going to dilute your share. So what does that mean? You are the fan. You own 50% of Money Mike. I'm Money Mike. I own 50%, right? Now, every time Money Mike goes out and gets another partner, I'm going to dilute your 50%. That's a Shark Tank, fellas. That's corporate enterprise business, right? So now you're thinking, well, I own 50% of the Money Mikes. No, you don't, because every time I go out and sign another partner that comes in, we're going to dilute you, right? Or every time we do a capital raise, it's going to dilute you. Keep going to dilute. So if the WNBA takes on 32 teams, that 42% that the WNBA owns now is going to be diluted all the way down even lower, right? So you're talking about two different things here. You're talking about two different things. You're talking about the dilution of equity, and you're also talking about the amount of money that players make. Those are two different things, folks. When a WNBA team owns that much percentage and the owners need to dilute it down because all that acquisition money can go to retirement, right? There's a lot of buckets and a lot of things that's going on here. This one's off balance because there's no way in the world anybody's going to pay $250 million to join a business that's going to lose money. They're making money, folks, and it's got to change. And Caitlin Clark coming on in here, her unmeasurable greatness is going to change it. And I really want to make sure that the fans understand that this is not something any of the players have done. It's just they got into a bad business deal. The business deal didn't work out. Abe's, I thank you, Abe Scotland, right? I thank you, Abe's. That's the greatness of it because we talked about this 16% a while back, and I talked to you guys about it a while back, even with Caitlin. I said, what? This 16% is going to cost you $1 billion, right? Because when you get to a $500 million acquisition fee and you're not getting your percentage of that, you're going to lose a lot of money on that. Nobody is going to convince anyone, and there's nobody else that I can convince that's here watching, and I thank you for tuning in, is that you're going to go out, I'm going to go get a capital raise from you, you're going to go to work for me and market my entire business. And then when you get it all marketed up and raised and the players come in and everything, now you come back and negotiate a deal for me. Well, you did all the sweat equity, right? The owners didn't have to do it. Really, the NBA owners, or the owners of the WNBA didn't have to lift a finger, right? They have never had to lift a finger in this deal. They never had to get up. You haven't seen an owner come out marketing the WNBA, anything like that, right? Let's go back to who, what, when, where, and why. Caitlin Clark's unmeasurable, but the WNBA is also unmeasurable. And now this is a different CBA, folks. This is not normally a player. The NBA owners are going to fold this league. The WNBA players decide to work on sweat equity, and now they want their share. Money Mike Syndicated Podcast. We always open your comments. I read each and every one. And remember, all things are possible to those who believe. Caitlin Clark is an unmeasurable player. Caitlin Clark's also an immeasurable negotiator. And Caitlin Clark holds the keys to the city of the WNBA. March Caitlin in. Let's get it right, and let's make the deal. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll always tell you, it's my opinion, but it's also your opinion. Who, what, when, where, and why. Your feedback is well respected. Your rebuttal is well respected. We'll see you soon.